Here we go. Here we go, brownies. The kids cardiac, catch me in the Muni where the party at. Dog pound, turn up with the elf up on my starter cap. Brought him back, boy we from the land and we proud of that. Louder man, front to the back, here we go, I got him shouting that. Here we go, brownies. Here we go. Here we go, brownies. Here we go, brownies. Stand up. Here we go, brownies. Let's go. Game on the line, Joe Thomas, I promise. Jim Brown running through opponents, how I got this. I return like Josh Cripps, paying for the mini, got the dog pound jumping. Here we go, brownies. Here we go. Here we go, brownies. Here we go, brownies. Stand up. Here we go, brownies. Let's go.
Cleveland, this is for you.
Here we go, Brownies Nation. Larry Lorella from Lorella Vineyards. Dustin Cook from Here We Go Brownies. We're here to talk a little bit about Here We Go Brownies wine. Dustin, let us know.
That's right, guys. The season wasn't what we wanted it to be, but the wine is amazing. Platinum winning, award winning wine. Here We Go Brownies wine. Come get it here at the winery or go to lorellavineyards.com. And remember, a portion of every single one of these bottles goes to the Greater Cleveland Food Bank to help those that are in need and hungry. That's right. Here we go, brownies. Here we go.
Woof, woof.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the Here We Go Brownies podcast. I'm Allie Ellery coming at you live from Pensacola, Florida, and joined with me, as always, we've got Dustin in Cleveland. Dustin, how are you?
You know, living good. Life's been good. And Cavaliers got a big win against the Detroit Pistons the other night, so that was pretty exciting. Hey, when you have all your players in and they're playing to their potential, you can knock out the first place team in the Eastern Conference. Like to see that. That was Tuesday night, obviously, just last night. I'm excited to watch where these Cavs are going to go with Harden and Schroeder and these guys that they've put together on this team. But and you know, since our last show, we got a lot of buzz about the Browns. The pieces of the line are starting to come together. Let's go. We got. By the way, we'll get into this. Some people didn't like the trade. Some people thought it was a great trade. But I'm in the positive side of this trade.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and just get into it then. If you haven't heard already, the Browns did make a trade for an offensive lineman, an offensive tackle, Titus Howard from Houston. They gave up a 5th-round pick to the Texans to acquire Titus Howard. Yeah, some people love it. Some people hate it. Let's kind of get into it. Dustin, look, for me, this is a piece of, you know, it's better than what you had, right? This is a step in the right direction. While this isn't, you're not going out and you're getting Trent Williams or Penei Sewell. This is somebody that can come in that has experience in the National Football League, that can come in and give you some very valuable reps. So I'm excited for it, just in the sense that maybe this makes some moves for the draft. Maybe taking a tackle or reaching for a tackle if there isn't one available to you at 6, maybe then you say, all right, well, we're going to go get Caleb Downs, or we're going to get Sonny Styles, or we're going to take Carnell Tate, or whoever
Right.
they decide they want to go at 6 if it's not a tackle, right? It kind of opens the door.
Trade down, because somebody's giving us an offer we can't
totally
refuse, right? Yeah. And here's the thing: there's the next 2 weeks is going to be wild, and I'm sad that Allie's going to be gone next week, because it's going to be a buzz week with the free agency. But here's the truth: what is it? $20 million roughly a year we're going to pay this guy over 3 years. Also, someone brought up a really good point. It's better to make a trade. By the way, we have 3 5th-rounders, so basically, you know, it didn't really hurt us in that aspect as far as like what I think we had to give up. But when free agency hits, because of where the Browns are in a position where these free agents want to go to a team that is playoff bound or is a few pieces away from getting the chip, that market dries up pretty quick, Allie. You know that, because all of a sudden these guys that are available out there aren't going to want to come to the Browns, because, you know, if they're on that 2nd or 3rd contract, they're looking for a playoffs. You know, maybe they haven't got their ring, so they're looking for that place that's going to get them, you know, possibly to a playoff. So I like the move in that sense, because I just think that market dries up really quickly once free agency starts, and there ain't going to be a lot of them out there that are going to be destined and want to come to Cleveland, especially with our cap casualty that we have.
Well, to your point, I mean, like I said last week, tackles and quarterback specifically. Those two positions you really can't find in free agency most times. They don't hit the market. Not that you can't find them, it's they don't typically hit the market. If they are an elite or even an above average quarterback or tackle, more likely than not, they're either getting traded or they are going to sign an extension and remain where they are. So that's why you see this trade. And again, I think it does open up some flexibility as we approach free agency and, of course, the draft. So overall, let me read you a couple of things here. He has started every game the last 2 seasons. Love that consistency. Yep. He has played at right tackle as well as right guard and left guard. So can move around a little bit.
Versatile, right.
Very versatile. I'd prefer tackle, right? That's, to me, more important. This is what I like. He has not given up a sack in the last 2 seasons, and he's only given up 21 quarterback pressures. So sign me up for that, right? That is significantly better than what you got last year.
Yeah, I think you bring this guy in, right, and say, Joel Petonio, if you ever watch this show, we'd love you back one more year. Come on back. But if Joel Petonio stays another year and you put this guy there, it doesn't look as scary going into free agency in the draft now, right? Now it's not like you're replacing the whole entire offensive line now, right? Now we're in a much better place than we thought we were a month ago. So I like the trade. It's a very Barry-esque kind of trade, right? It's something area of need. He talked about it at the combine. We're going to be very heavy on the offensive side of the ball. It's very obvious we need to work on our offensive line and wide receivers, right? He was pretty apparent. Well, ding, check one. He's already tried to do that. So I will give kudos to Barry all day long. He usually doesn't get. I mean, Ali, you can tell me. I'm trying to think of a trade where he's really got burned since his pedigree as a GM. I mean, the Amari Cooper was to the advantage of the Browns. Like I'm just thinking of a trade that really almost I haven't think of.
I could name.
Well, I mean, other than the 800-pound, other than the one that the entire team was in on for $250 million. I'm saying, but if you outside of that, where he's made these kind of moves to better the team in positions, it seems like we've always been on the better side of it. Like Greg Newsome, right? Like there's another example.
Not a bad segment. Maybe we can do that on another show where we go through all of the trades of Andrew Berry. I think that's interesting. I mean, off the top of my head, there's the looming obvious one, the elephant in the room, right? That's career defining, in my opinion. Even if you have all of the rest of the trades that you do are perfect and work in your favor, well, you had one that really just blew everything up. So that sucks. But he's been pretty good in the trade department, if you will. But where he's really struggled is free agency. We've got a couple there where it's like, wow, that was a pretty big swing and a miss. I mean, just to rattle off a couple. I mean, John Johnson. You remember when he came to the team? At the time, people were saying this is going to be the most impactful. We said the most impactful signing of Andrew Berry's career, and it was just bad. One Thornhill. Yeah, I mean, there's several that we could throw out that it's like didn't work. What were we doing? What were we thinking? But yeah, I mean, overall, I think this one provides you some stability and flexibility, and that's what's.
I forgot about. Was he part of Hooper?
Yeah. 2020. Yeah, he would have been part of Hooper, I think.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a handful of them there, but there's some other ones that look really good. So, but here's the thing. Another person's trash is another person's treasure. I always like to say. So you got to figure out where you're at on the side of that, right? So you just sometimes that person, that a new scenery ends up being perfect, and it's like, well, maybe we see why they wanted to trade him so bad.
I mean, listen, when you make a move like this, it gives you some flexibility. That's what we want. You're going into a draft. You've got 2 first-round picks. They're likely going to spend one of those picks on a tackle right away. And then you go sign somebody in free agency. Hopefully, Joel comes back. You sign maybe a center in free agency, and things aren't as bad as they currently are. Right? You're looking better than where we were even just. Towards the end of the season last year. So I like it. I'm all for it. I think it's a pretty good move. It's not super costly. And it gives you some stability and flexibility. And that's what's important right now. Before we move on, actually, no, let's get into this. They did release Justin Osborne and Cornelius Lucas. No big surprise there. And of course, we do need to get into, where's it at here? Before we move on, I want to just cover this. They do have the tenured exclusive rights free agents. There's 6 of them: tight end Brendan Bates, Malachi Corley, Winston Reed, long snapper Rex Sunahara, Andre Schmidt, and Jamari Thrash. So those are the moves that have been made just today or in the past couple of days.
And remind me, when they tender them like that, they're basically protected. If somebody offers them a deal, they can, right? That's kind of how that works, if I'm remembering right.
Sorry, my computer literally just shut down all of my notes, all of my show notes. That's really cool. As I'm talking about this, that just disappear. So yeah, tenured exclusive rights free agent ultimately is a player that has had fewer than 3 accrued NFL seasons. Contract just expired. He can't negotiate with other teams. So he's got a tender placed on. Once the team tenders him a contract, he has 2 options: either sign it or essentially sit out. So yeah. Okay. Moving on, I want to kind of discuss what happened post-combine. There's some really interesting storylines from the NFL scouting combine. I want to talk about it and maybe what this means for the Cleveland Browns. But before we do so, Dustin, tell our listeners, prime time.
Yeah, guys, if you haven't been to prime time, get down there. Hey, by the way, I had a great weekend. Beverly D'Angelo and Chevy Chase were down there. There had to be over 1,000 people that were at that, but a living legend, Chevy Chase, and all the great movies. But March 21st, Josh Cribbs, Trayvon Henderson, that's right, the Ohio State Buckeye, and many more will be there March 21st. Look for some announcements on that, but that will be down at Belden Village. Allie, I'm sure you spent a time or two in your childhood and young adult life in Belden Village, I would have to assume.
That would be correct. Yes.
They have a Chick-fil-A in there, by the way. A Chick-fil-A in there. Mm-hmm. Well, but I'm just saying, a lot of malls I've been to don't have like a Chick-fil-A in there. But I was like, that's pretty smart to have a Chick-fil-A in a mall because it drives.
I don't know how many malls I've been in since I've left Canton, Ohio. That was a mall that I frequented all the time. But like since I've moved on, malls are kind of like a thing of the past here where we live. There's more just like outdoor shopping in Florida, of course. Because
like the place you took to me in Columbus that we went to, like that kind of place. Yeah,
something like that. So like I haven't really been in a ton of malls to think if Chick-fil-A's are common or not. But yeah, maybe I took that for granted in my childhood. Real quick, before we move on, just a quick thing that literally just came out. We're not going to spend a ton of time on this, but Myles Garrett was cited for speeding. He was going 94 and a 70 February 21st. Just came out. This is his 9th citation since 2017. So I'm sure you'll see that in the news. I don't have any comment on it really, other than.
Can I ask where this was? It in Texas or Ohio?
It was on. He was going 94 and a 70 on I-71.
Okay. I'm going to make this comment because I live here now. So I don't think this is going to be a shock to anybody that's from Northeast Ohio. Allie, the number 1 place in the country for speeding tickets is Ohio, and it's by a large margin. That's a real thing. So I just think that's interesting. Now, 94 is still over the speed limit by 20 miles plus, but it's number 1 for speeding tickets in the entire country. No joke. So it's interesting that
how many since you moved there?
What's that?
How many have you had since you moved to Ohio?
0.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Did you ever? This is kind of. I know we're getting off topic, but did you ever speed in Ohio and get a speeding ticket, Allie?
I got one when I was like 17.
Oh, that sucks because your insurance goes like.
Yeah, sorry, Mom and Dad. I think I've had 2. I think, and then another time with my mom, we were driving to Columbus. I think I got a speeding ticket. I think that's it.
71 and 77 are the worst. Like those are, and I will just tell you, outside of Cleveland, it's kind of pretty well known. Like you don't speed. Like you're gonna get nailed just because. Yeah,
there's a couple of towns like where I grew up where it's like you do not go even 1 over. Like they will get you. So if you're ever driving through Waynesburg, Ohio, you better be safe. Better be. Yeah,
I think Miles. I think we should find Miles a personal driving company that can just drive him wherever he needs to. I think he's got enough money. Let's get him a nice driving concierge that can take him wherever he needs to go, and his wonderful girlfriend that was in the Olympics as well. Let's find a concierge.
I don't have any other comments on it other than Miles. Just be safe. We need you. We love you. So There you go. I'm sure you'll see that in the news. And then, of course, want to tell you about our friends over at Stadium Mustard, guys. If you don't have Stadium Mustard in your kitchen this season, you're doing it wrong. The iconic brand, the iconic taste, will from ballparks to backyards and everywhere in between. Stadium Mustard is a smooth brown mustard rich in both taste and tradition. By the way, it's loved by millions, so be sure to head on over to stadiummustard.com to shop.
And 20% off. Use the code Brownies. The entire order, 20% off at stadiummustard.com. That's a great deal. Anytime, anywhere, 20% off. Let's go.
There you go. Just so you guys know, if you're waiting on my wonderful, perfect husband, he is not going to be joining the show tonight. He's a little under the weather, so no medical moment tonight.
Oh, that was a lot. My wonderful, perfect husband. Okay. Nobody's perfect, but anyway.
David. Okay, let's get into it. The combine just happened in Indy. A lot of storylines came out. Let's just kind of get into it and, just have some banter about what happened in the combine and then, how it might impact what the Browns are looking at. The first one being Carnell Tate. Everybody's panicking because he ran a 4.5. And personally, I'm not surprised by this. We
already knew this about him. He's not the fastest guy.
His showcases a 4.5 athlete. So he was a 4.5 athlete at the combine. Now, several people have come out that know people and say that other executives at the combine have clocked him going 4.4. That's great. He will have the opportunity to run again at the Ohio State Pro Day. So we will see. Right. This does not concern me. So if the Browns are eyeing Carnell Tate, or just as a Ohio State fan that's rooting for Carnell Tate, I am not concerned about this in the slightest. There are so many great receivers in the National Football League that ran a 4.5.
Mm-hmm.
JSN is one of them. I think Puka Nacua. I mean, that does not scare me. Devontae Adams, just to name a couple here. So,
can I ask you, as we're bantering about this, did you hear the hot mic of the Ravens GM?
It was the Bills GM.
I'm sorry, the Bills GM. Correct. Sorry.
Brandon Beane said, "Wow, he's pretty slow. I wouldn't draft him high."
Now, do you think he was being sarcastic? Because you know how it's all a shell game with these guys, right? It's all a shell game.
It does. He was saying that, so it's on record that he hopes that he falls so they can draft him essentially. But
right.
No, that doesn't scare me in the slightest. I think he's going to be a great NFL receiver, and personally, I do have questions if he's going to be a number one receiver, Jamar Chase, JSN type of guy. Maybe he's more of a T. Higgins. Maybe he's more of a lock. I don't know. I'm not even going to pretend to put I have his scouting report in front of me because I don't. But sure, that's where we can have a conversation of maybe some concerns. But speed it does not really worry me, guys. If you look at what the Browns have talent wise, on their roster right now for receiver, Carnell Tate even running a 4.5 or slower even would be a massive upgrade. So I don't have any concerns there. Just keeping it within Ohio State, Sonny Styles showed out, Dustin. Sonny Styles was going to go in the top 15 of this NFL draft regardless. I think he may have solidified himself as a potential top 5 pick in what he did.
I would say for sure top 10, right? Based on what he did. Yeah.
It's insane. I think there is now a world where I think he could go ahead of guys like potentially Arvell Reese, Caleb Downs even, which is just kind of an insane thing to say if you go back even a year and look at the projections on where these guys would be in the NFL draft. Caleb Downs was going to be the number 2 or 3 overall pick in this class. Mm-hmm. And I mean, just goes to show Ohio State pumps out some absolute freaks. Got Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, obviously. So, I mean, any of these guys.
Remind me, was it which Ohio State player? Was it Caleb Downs that was found that he had some, and obviously David can get into this on the next show, but had some stuff that the whole reason for the combine, some stuff came up with a partial ACL. Is that correct? Something I believe.
David, maybe he'll text me. David, if you're watching, maybe you'll text me and I'll read what you have to say on the pod. But yes, it was Caleb Downs that had some medical concerns. A lot of people are saying it's really not much to worry about, that he will still probably go high and have a great career. But yes, that could be a concern. And you do see this sometimes where somebody has something that pops up like that and they'll drop maybe out of where they were anticipated to go. But look, if you get your hands on somebody like Caleb Downs, watch out. I mean, he's a great athlete. Another storyline that I think is quite interesting is somebody that I mentioned last week, and our friend Angel put in the comments, Ruben Bain. I said, look, if he's there, you might just have to take him. He is an absolutely disruptive, explosive player he's a game wrecker. However, his measurements came out and he has apparently tiny little short arms that are the shortest that they've ever seen. Obviously, I'm being a little hyperbolic here, but there are some concerns about his arm length and his ability to be a pass rusher in the National Football League, especially on the edge, because we know, I mean, NFL tackles, they'll be able to combat that pretty quickly. So there are some real concerns there. So do you see somebody like him fall? So it's interesting, right, to have these conversations on who kind of rose their stock, who's dropping a little bit, and how this is going to play out with pro days upcoming. I mean, the draft is so interesting because right now we could say, oh, it is, no matter what, it's Arvell Reese going number 2. But in a week from now, we could say, nope, no matter what, it is Francis Mauigoa going number 2 overall. It just kind of fluctuates like that. So pretty interesting to see. Just to highlight a couple of comments here. George, would you trade Ward for another second-round pick?
No.
Actually, this is interesting. We have some data here. If you saw Trent McDuffie, was it Trent McDuffie that got traded today? I want to pull up that trade. He got traded to the Rams, and they gave up an absolute haul.
Yes.
So it was a
first-round pick this year.
Yep, a first, a
third.
Where's it at?
And a fifth. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah, first, third, and a fifth.
So I don't know when you have the conversation, is Trent McDuffie in the same conversation as Denzel Ward? I would say kind of, yes. Trent's a little younger. Maybe can get one more pick out of it. But a second and a player, that would be interesting. But I think you could actually get more for Denzel. I think depending on the team, a needy team, you could potentially get a late first for him, possibly. So I think you could get better than what you described, George, but I could see a world where they do move off of Denzel Ward, just to highlight this. And I know that kind of sounds a little bit crazy, but just to show what Trent went for, I mean, a legitimate first-round pick. So there is a world where it could happen.
Now, I'm assuming, where would that be, though? That's going to be close to what the Browns had with Jacksonville's pick, right? Probably 24 to 27 this year.
So, I mean, I think this trade's actually off the table, because if you would have asked me before today, I would have said the Rams are very corner needy and they have the assets to, get somebody like Denzel Ward. So I think maybe the call was made, and the Browns said no because they love Denzel and they want to keep him here. But yeah, I think the Rams or a team like that are corner needy and in their win now window would be willing to give up a late first like that for Denzel Ward.
Right.
So yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. I think it probably would have already have happened today. Actually, I think the Rams are that team, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I think that was kind of a haul. I mean, McDuffie was traded for 4 picks. That's a little surprising.
And again, we don't know how that trade works out, right? That's a couple of years down the road to see what team wins in that, because here's the truth, the Rams are a really good football team. And if they make it back to the Super Bowl, well, that was probably a really good trade for them. Right. But if they falter and, they're 500 and it doesn't pan out, looks like a really good trade for the other team. So, yeah. So
David texted me about the Caleb Downs situation. So I will just read it as he said. Caleb Downs was flagged for possible defensive ACL and partial meniscus tear. It was reported by Daft on Draft, but nobody else picked it up or confirmed it. The article's actually been deleted. So he says Pat McAfee said he talked to many executives and none of them were worried about Caleb and would happily take him. David's take on it is it's a chronic condition that was found on MRI. But it's not clinically relevant. Watch the tape. He didn't step back this year at all. It looked like a great start to finish. So,
Okay. There you go.
and then he corrected himself and said degenerative. So,
That's right from the doc, so he knows.
yeah, yep. So we'll talk more about that when we have David on the show. But seems to me a huge thing to be concerned about.
So let me ask you now. Here's the thing. I guess let's stay on the combine. Did you get a chance to look at the quarterbacks and some of the? Yeah. So let's get into that a little bit. I want your opinion. Then I'm going to throw something at you, a curveball, and get your opinion. And the only reason I'm even looking at this guy is because of what I think the Browns can do potentially. But I just want to get your take on what some of the performances and what the Browns may or may not do with quarterback. Will they draft? Because I know that David and I are of the belief they aren't going to draft a quarterback, and then I know you are of the belief that they may draft a quarterback, right?
Good. Listen, I don't think they will. Truthfully, I think that there's a possibility that they could trade
I'm leaning more they are, but go ahead.
But in my opinion, it depends on how the draft shakes out. The first 10 picks, if they get their Francis Mauigoa at 6 overall, and then they're able to get, I don't know, Denzel Boston or somebody, a great receiver also in the first round, addressing 2 huge areas of need, and they just made a trade for an offensive tackle. Well, yeah, maybe at that point they feel that they've addressed their areas of need in a big way. They'll feel comfortable taking a quarterback. But if they don't and they trade back and maybe they do some things here and there, I could see a world where they don't draft a quarterback. But I think it's possible. I'm not in the position to say, oh, I definitely think they're going to do it. I just think I'm more than 50% of the way there.
Okay. So I'm going to bring up a name. I know, we all know the names that are out there that are the obvious ones, like the quarterback at Alabama and some of those other guys. But I know this guy because I said 6 years ago, I know this was a crazy thing that I'm about to say, but when I watched him on tape as a freshman in college, I said, that looks like a taller version of Lamar Jackson that could play in the National Football League. And then after what he did at the combine, I think he got a lot more eyes. And I don't know if you had an opportunity to look at Taylor Green, the quarterback.
Yeah.
All right. So he is 6. Let me just put this out there, guys. He is 6'6", 235 pounds. He's athletic. He's an athletic freak. He broke 2 records at the combine for the vertical leap, I believe, and another one. He broke 2 records at that. Now, hear me out on this. If the Browns were to get him in the 3rd or the 4th round, and they can convert him because he could work as an emergency quarterback, and if you can turn him into a Terrell Pryor / Josh Gordon into a wide receiver, imagine having that kind of guy with that athleticism for a jump ball at 6'6".
Okay. Let me take a step back and address him as the quarterback before we move on to what he could be. Because something I don't love doing is saying so-and-so should switch their position. Because look at Lamar Jackson.
And just full disclosure, the only reason I know this because I heard they're trying to see if they can convince him to play wide out because of his freakish.
I have that as well. I always am just like, man, if he was going to be a good receiver, like he would have been, he wouldn't be a quarterback. So that's where I just, I want to pause that just a little bit. But Taylor Green, the quarterback, very interesting, or just offensive weapon. Let's phrase it that way. I think that's a little bit better. Offensive weapon. Somebody that can come in maybe on 3rd and 4th and short and can get you some yards. Sure, that intrigues me. You mentioned it. He's 6'6". He's a big dude, 227. I think there actually is some data out there that says quarterbacks that are taller than, I don't know if it's 6'6" or 6'7", but they don't turn out for whatever reason. They don't develop like 6'5", between 6'4" and 6'6". I don't know what the exact measurement is. It's kind of the sweet spot.
He's 6'6", yeah. So that's what it shows.
So, listen, it's interesting. Just to go through his strengths and weaknesses from Lance Zierlein, we'll start with his strengths. He's got rare size and rare athleticism. He can do so many different things. He provides kind of that dual threat attack. He can go off script. He can make plays outside of the pocket, just like you mentioned. He reminds you of Lamar Jackson or Houston, Deshaun Watson, somebody like that. He's got he's tall. He's got an elevated release point. He can layer the throws. He can make all of the throws. That's what's really intriguing, especially with that size. Weaknesses, he says disappointing passing results when he breaks the pocket. So maybe that's something you can work on, right? If you can get out of the pocket, make some plays, that's pretty intriguing. And maybe you can refine some of those skills. Processing and timing needs improvement on the next level. Struggles with post-snap recognition of zone lurkers underneath. Needs more consistency. Consistently quiet. Needs to quietly. I can't talk. Needs to consistently quiet his feet to improve accuracy. I'm done reading, apparently. Jeez. So I think he's a really interesting prospect. I don't know really where I have him on my personal big board. I think that there's some other prospects that I like from a pure passing standpoint better.
But I'm saying if he's there like in the 5th round, why wouldn't you take a flyer on a guy like that? Can be because we bring up the word like Eric Metcalf. He was a Swiss Army knife, and he tells me all the time. I told Bill Belichick, you're going to want me on your football team because you're going to use me on kick and punt and halfback. Like there's going to be a place for me wherever you want me. To your point, let's talk about Taylor Green, the football player, and what freakish skill set he can bring to you. Like I looked at it this way. Like think about this. Say Shador wins the starting job, right? Hypothetically, he's 6'1". You tell me a guy like this, if they can translate him to wide receiver on a 50-50 jump ball, there isn't a cornerback in this league, a guy that's 6'7" on a jump ball into the end zone. If he can, get that skill set, that's crazy to me. Like
I don't know. That makes me a little nervous. It does, just because I think when you're taking a flyer on somebody, I mean, if he's there in the 6th, 7th round, sure, I could see a world where you do that. But even in the 5th round, you can still get great value at the receiving position. Receivers that have played receiver for a long time, and I think you're really taking a shot on somebody. And I mean, yeah, you're right. Size doesn't matter if he's slow, and size doesn't matter if he's not had a ton of experience doing those things, especially going into the National Football League. So I have some hesitation there. I absolutely think he could be a Swiss Army knife, and he can do a lot of things. He's interesting to me, that's for sure. I think he's going to be a very interesting prospect, and I'm excited to see what his draft process looks like, but makes me a little bit nervous, not going to lie.
So here's something really interesting. So he broke the records. He had a 43.5-inch vertical, so he broke that, and 11.2 broad jump while running a blazing, so he's not slow, a blazing 4.36 in the 40-yard dash.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
And the comparisons, because you always look at like comps, he's compared to Anthony Richardson and DK Metcalf.
So here's my take on that. I'm interested in players.
You see what they did there, right? Like quarterback.
I am interested in those types of players. I think they can provide a lot of value for teams that already have a lot of their issues solved. The Browns, unfortunately, aren't in a position to do that, right? They've got some serious holes that they need to fill. And just like last year, I was pretty disappointed to see them draft not only 2 running backs, but 2 quarterbacks as well. It's like, man, those are 2 draft picks that you could have maybe gotten a receiver. You could have gotten a tackle at that point. So I do hesitate to say, oh yeah, they should absolutely look for something like this when there are guys that have played a certain position of need for their entire career that could be potentially day 1 starters. So yeah, maybe for a team that's already in their championship window, that makes a ton of sense, but maybe not for the Browns. But I could be wrong. All right, what else you got in terms of the NFL draft? I want to talk tackles because I think, obviously going into this, I was all in on Francis Mauigoa, and I'm still there. I think he's awesome. But there's another guy that rose to the top of a lot of people's boards, and that's Monroe Freeling, the tackle out of Georgia. A couple of things to note here. During his time at Georgia, that Todd Monken was possibly involved in the recruiting process of this player. So there could be a little bit of a relationship there. While he didn't have a chance to coach him, obviously, because he's been in the NFL for the past few years, still a familiar name and knows what he likes to do. I'm really in on Monroe Freeling. He's 6'7", 315. He's 21 years old, and he is a very pure athletic tackle. A lot of these other guys, you say, oh yeah, he'd be a good guard. Maybe you could slide him inside. He can do a lot of things. You can move him on the line. Monroe can do all of those things, but he is a tackle. He is a pure tackle. That really impresses me, really intrigues me. So I think you are going to see him skyrocket in a lot of mock drafts, a lot of big boards. We'll keep you posted once I get my hands on the from Dane Brugler, but I'm really in on this guy right now.
Yeah, so think about that. If that guy slides, so say the Browns hypothetically are like they get an offer that's too good to, and they go down and they trade with the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are at 12. Here's the thing: if he's sitting there at 12 because you can get him right, and he's moved up the board, Monken, I'm sure is pretty familiar with him being over at Georgia, so he knows what kind of player he's getting. So he's like almost a spy in the room. Like, dude, this guy's the real deal. If we can move down 5 spots to get the guy that is going to be great anyway, and then go get another draft pick, I'm in, right? So that could be pretty creative. I did just want to share one thing. I was just doing a little quick research, just so you guys were talking about slow versus fast. Taylon Green, 4.36 on the 40-yard dash. There were only 2 quarterbacks in the history of the NFL Combine that were faster. That would be Michael Vick at 4.33 and Lamar Jackson at 4.34. So he is the third fastest 40-yard dash quarterback ever at the NFL draft. And I think that's why that opened a lot of eyes and basically just the freak of an athlete that he is. So.
Yeah. I want to highlight this. Our friend George, I want the kid from Iowa. If you're talking about my guy, Jennings Dunker, I'm all in on this
is that the redhead mullet guy?
God, I love him. I love this guy. He's got the look. You know, he's got the look, he's got the name, and it's just like, well, and also he's got the tape too, right?
By the way, I'm sure he's now a meme as well. He's going to be meme.
I spotted him at the Senior Bowl. I know I told this story last week, but I spotted him at the Senior Bowl when we were there, and I was so impressed with him. I think he's going to be very good. I do see him more as a guard in the NFL, but I really, really like this guy. So yes, I'm very excited to see you say that, George. I'm all in on Jennings Dunker.
Dude, there are players like at the combine that just end up, like stealing the show, and everybody's like, man, look at him in that mullet. Like he is just he is just screaming offensive lineman. Like he's got that's a guy that's got his hands in the dirt. Like he's that kind of guy. So
yeah, really in on that. All right, what else you got? Anything else?
Obviously the tackles I was looking at, the quarterbacks. I don't think the Browns take a quarterback at the top of the draft, just because they're not going to do that. I mean, unless the frickin' Raiders called and they made a trade, I think that's the only thing the Browns would do in a situation like that. But I do want to get into a little bit just the conversation from the offense and the defensive coordinator of the Cleveland Browns today with their press availability. The one that stood out to me was the offensive coordinator. He's from here. I think he's excited in the sense that, he went to Akron. He played football at Akron, and we know when you can get a guy that loves this part of the country and come in and has a little give a damn, as I like to say, in coaching and what it means to this organization and what it means to bring a winner to Cleveland, I was excited about that. So that was very exciting. And then the new defensive coordinator said, look, my job is anywhere. I'm excited to get in here and get to work, but I want to learn these guys inside and out. Relationship-wise, I want to know what's important to them, what their hobbies are, what makes them tick, and we're going to attack. We're going to be kind of violent when it comes to the on the defensive side of the ball. I'm like, all right, we're good then. I feel pretty good about this. So there was a lot of energy from the podium, and I got to tell you, Allie, I think these are going to be some different press conferences over the next couple of years compared to the press conferences we have gotten in the past. In regards to, I do want to say this, Allie, I think since our last show, this came out, and we can get into this. I don't know if we went into it on the last show, but the report card that the Browns got. Did we go into that on the last show?
No, we didn't. No, we did not.
So I think that's kind of interesting, and I know it's a little bit old news, but Kevin Stefanski got a C-. He got rated the worst coach by the NFLPA. Now remember, these are players that just choose to participate in those. It's not the entire team, but I don't know. That's kind of a glaring thing to me.
Well, I haven't actually. Let's just go through this.
Okay.
I know a lot of you have probably already have seen this, just because it kind of came out at a midpoint
Third,
after.
I think it came out like the day after our show, basically.
So
right?
I'm sure you've already seen this, but treatment of families was a D minus, home game field B minus, food/dining area D plus, nutritionist C plus, locker room F, training room C, training staff C plus, weight room B plus, strength coaches B plus, position coaches B minus, offensive coordinator D plus, defensive coordinator A minus, special teams coordinator D, team travel D minus, head coach C minus, general manager C, team ownership C. Overall rank is 30. So not great. Could be better. Now, I mean, to be fair, a lot of, you go through every single team and they've got some C's and D's and even F's across the board.
Sure. Even the Chiefs do, people. So
Yes.
yeah.
So it's, don't look at this as, wow, everything's horrible. But, knowing that they are going to be moving into a new stadium soon, some of these things will certainly improve. One thing
and I'll add to that, because like one of the things that, and you know this from previous report cards, the weight room and that part of the building got a lot of bad grades, and it's getting a B plus now. And I think Jimmy Haslam and their group is incrementally taking care of these things to make them better, right? That's kind of like, obviously Berea is getting a total revamp. The facilities, they're building fields and hotels out there, and they're really building up that practice facility. So I think those grades will continue to get better in that space. And we're also playing in a 30-year-old stadium that was built on the cheap. So, like, it's not the best playing field, okay, all those things. But I think, did the Dolphins get 32? I can't remember what team got 32. I think it was the Dolphins.
Let me see. I have it pulled up here.
But I mean, you would look at some of these teams, but look at 31 and 32, because it'd be interesting to see who was right below us. Because, I mean, when you look at it, you can get a really bad grade by just having a couple bad grades on a couple things, right? Like if you're grading on a curve, you know where that goes, because if you get an F.
Miami Dolphins are ranked number 1.
Oh, sorry. So they're number 1, but I was surprised who 32 was, but I can't.
Let me pull that up. 32 was the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Right. So there's a perfect example. A tried and true organization that goes to the playoffs every year, and they're ranked 32. Their stadium, I think, is newer than ours, right? So it's kind of weird when you grade on a curve where you end up. So
yeah, and I think it's interesting. I like seeing these things, but yeah, I don't think it's all bad. It's not anything to freak out about. They've already addressed a lot of this. One thing that was surprising to me was Tommy Reese was a D plus, but I was a little bit surprised to see that, but overall, I'm not overly shocked.
Did Tommy take a job with Stefanski? Is he on his staff? But he's not his offensive coordinator, correct? Yes. Oh, he is. Oh, well, good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good luck with that. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. All right. Now moving on, Dustin, why don't you tell our listeners about our good friends over at nope, not that one. We Bleed Ohio.
Yeah, guys, if you want some apparel, just like I'm wearing, that's right. Get your We Bleed Ohio brands as well. Football, basketball, baseball, all those cool things. And then get your Here We Go Brownies hoodies and T-shirts. So go to WeBleedOhio.com, and they will get you all set up.
We'll get you set up. Also, while you're at it, guys, if you're wondering what you should have for lunch or dinner, head on over to Stadium. Why do I do that? Stadium Mustard and City Barbecue. Stadium Mustard is really good on City Barbecue. So go to City Barbecue. They've got award-winning sauces, sides, meats. They do it right. They're very friendly to work with. And they can also cater your event. So if you've got something coming up and you're like, hey, I need to get this catered, maybe you want to have some lunch sent to your team or something, check out our friends over at City Barbecue. All right, Dustin, let's play a little game as we wrap up here. I'm going to we're going to do one of those.
We'll give a shout out to Crystal John Tony here in a moment.
Yes, we will. We're going to do keep 3, cut 5. Okay.
Ooh, these games are tough.
Let me pull it up here because for whatever reason, my computer knocked me out of literally everything that I had pulled up. So that's frustrating.
I've had that happen where everything just goes off the screen.
Oh my gosh. So I'm going to do keep 3, cut 5, Browns first round picks.
Keep 3, cut 5. And this is Browns say that again.
Browns first round picks. So I'm going to give you
Like these are current players or former players or all the above.
I've done since the return. So first round
Okay.
players were selected in the first round. So of course, with that, you're gonna have some pretty good players. You're gonna have
So
some.
we're going back and forth.
No, I'm just gonna give them to you. I want you to blind rank it. I was gonna do this with you and David, but of course, David's.
Right.
So it's just you. I'm gonna give you some players. I'm gonna write it down. You got to keep 3, cut 5. So you got to be pretty selective. So we will start with Baker Mayfield.
Keep 3, cut 5, and these are going to be players from 99 current, correct?
No particular order. I'm not going in any order. I'm just going to give you players.
I'm going to put this as a keep because he's the only consistent quarterback we've had since 1999 that's won games.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Next up, we've got Joe Hayden.
I love him, but I got to cut him.
Yeah. I think so, right? Knowing who's on this list. I mean, you don't know what.
Here's the thing. I got to cut 5, and I can only keep 3. You know where I'm going with this. And by the way, Joe Hayden, you've been on our show. We love you. It's nothing personal, but I can only keep 3. I can only keep 3, and I have no idea what Allie's going to throw at me. So sorry.
No, you don't. All right.
You're a Hall of Famer in here. Just saying.
Next up, Johnny Manziel.
Cut.
There's a couple on here that are going to be pretty easy, either way. But like I said, you don't know who's coming. Trent Richardson.
Cut.
Yeah, I think so, right? Has to be. Not great. All right, next up, we've got Denzel Ward.
That's a keeper.
Denzel, yeah. All right. Denzel. So you've got one more spot left and to keep, 2 more to cut.
Down corner, quarterback, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next up, you have David Njoku.
By the way, how are these coming up? By the way, is this just a randomizer thing?
I wrote down all of the first round picks, and I'm literally just pulling them. So
okay.
But I'm just I picked some.
Boy, oh boy. So I've already cut 3. I've kept 2. I think I got to go with a cut here.
All right.
Love you, David. I love you, David, but got to cut you.
Yeah. All right. Next up, you've got Myles Garrett.
Bingo. There we go. Put that on my bingo board. I got my starting defensive end, my shutdown corner, and my quarterback. Now, of course, Joe Thomas is now. I know.
Yeah. Yep. You are cutting Joe Thomas. Well, this is interesting though, because there are not that many Browns first round picks that you were like, no matter what, you're keeping this person. And I think there's 2 obvious ones, right? And that's Joe Thomas and Myles Garrett. Those are the 2.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to pick, like, it would be Myles Garrett and Joe Thomas, right? Like those are arguably Hall of Fame first round, like those are future. Well, one's a Hall of Famer and one is a future Hall of Famer. So then it's like pick your poison with the third one, right? That's the truth, Yeah.
So some other names I was going to throw at you: Corey Coleman. I mean, that's an automatic cut. Jedrick Wills, Jabril Peppers. So that's
okay. That's interesting, Allie. When you think about that, literally. So, I mean, this is sad, but a very humbling thing. So I'm just going to say this here. So, I mean, if you think about this, in the last 26 years, because the Browns, let's take that back. We haven't had 3 first-round draft picks because of the Deshaun Watson trade. So what's that, 23, 24? So 26 picks. So 23 first-round picks the Browns have had. Mm-hmm. And you can, and I would put David Njoku in there as he's worthy. That means 5 out of 23 years, legitimate keepers that you would say, bona fide, great pick. Glad we have them. Out of 23, Allie, let me just put that 5.
Let's go through this real quick. We've got a couple of minutes. I'm just going to name the guys that are on this list. Browns first round picks. It's kind of jarring, actually.
Yeah.
Knowing who went in that draft, what you could have had, and what they decided to do. Now, recently, last year, obviously the Browns selected Mason Graham, so yet to be determined on that.
But he's projecting in a great direction. I agree.
Good.
Yeah.
So far, so good. I have nothing to say there. But the past 3 years, from 24 to 22, obviously you did not have a first round pick because you had Deshaun Watson. I think looking back, you would have much rather have had those first round picks. But then we go into 2021. The first round pick there was Greg Newsome, and obviously no longer a Cleveland Brown. Struggled, and I think looking back at that, you probably would have made another selection. The year prior was Jedrick Wills. He is not even in the league, so that's great. In 2019, they did not have a first round pick because they acquired Odell Beckham Jr. 2018, it was Denzel Ward, Baker Mayfield. 2017, they had 3 first round picks: David Njoku, Jabril Peppers, Myles Garrett, all of which are still in the league. And
I mean, think about that. You pretty much hit on 2 out of 3 there, right? I like that. That was good.
What's frustrating about that is that's also the draft that Patrick Mahomes went in. So obviously you'd like to probably change a couple of things here and there. 2016.
That wasn't the draft of Lamar Jackson too, was it?
No, that was 2018. But 2017, that was Pat Mahomes, Deshaun Watson. You could have made something happen there. But 2016, Corey Coleman. All right, this is just, heads up. This is where it gets pretty bleak. 2015, you had 2 first-round picks: Cam Irving, Danny Shelton. 2014, Johnny Manziel, Justin Gilbert. 2013 was Barkevious Mingo. 2012, Brandon Whedon, Trent Richardson. 2011, Phil Taylor, friend of the program. 2010 was Joe Hayden. 2009, Alex Mack. They did not have a first-round pick in 2008. 2007, there it is. It's Joe Thomas and also Brady Quinn. And then 2006, Cameron Wembley. 2005, Braylon Edwards, Kellen Winslow. 2003, Jeff Fain. 2002, William Green, Gerard Warren, Courtney Brown, and Tim Couch. There we are.
Well, and here's the thing. Tim Couch probably would have worked out, but he was surrounded with inferior talent. That's the problem with him. Like, Tim Couch would have been a good quarterback, but they ruined him because he just So
they ruined him. So
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It's a wow moment for Cleveland Browns.
So I was looking at this thinking, man, not great. You've got 2 guys there that you're like, undeniably, you keep them any day of the week. And then that third person, we could have a debate about it. Is it Denzel? Is it Baker? Is it David Njoku?
I will say, and I know there's a lot of people that love Baker, and I still love Baker. If you look at the microcosm of what's important to a football program, a guy like Myles Garrett anchoring that side of the defense, Joe Thomas, the blind side, those are 2 like monumental pieces of a football team. And then a quarterback that wins you football games, right? So I'd almost put Baker Mayfield in that third slot because how important the quarterback position is in this league. And here's the truth. Baker Mayfield is still playing football and winning playoff games and in the playoffs. So to not think that he wouldn't still be able to do that at this level in Cleveland, I would think he would be able to do that. Now, did he maybe need to change the scenery? That's up for debate, but I will tell you this. He's still playing football at a high level and has had the best couple of years out of his life in football the last few years. So to say that, if he was still here, surrounded by talent, and we had $250 million more dollars, well, I don't know. You tell me.
I want to highlight this. Casey Concepcion, is he somebody that if he's there, do you take him with the later pick in the first round? Yes, I want to talk about this. So just to kind of go through who I would have above him, I think he's a very talented receiver. I think that he would make sense for the Browns. However, I do have a couple of guys ahead of him. That obviously being Carnell Tate, the guys at the top, right? Carnell Tate, Micaiah Lemon, Jordan Tyson, Denzel Boston. I all have ahead of him. But then it's Casey Concepcion. Another guy that I also like in that area, depending on if there's a run of receivers, is Omar Cooper Jr. out of Indiana. He's interesting to me, 6 foot, 204. He's somebody that I kind of like there. And then there is value in later rounds: Malachi Fields, Elijah Surratt, Zachariah Branch. There's some guys, but yes, to answer that question, I do like him there. I could see a world where they do that, and that brings me to a point that I just want to finish with. Dustin, I heard this on another pod earlier, and I thought this was pretty interesting. Would you rather have, and I'm not gonna, I don't know who your favorite guys are, but just to kind of throw this exercise at you, would you rather have Francis Maui-Noah at 6, and then somebody like a Casey Concepcion, Denzel Boston with the later pick in the first round? Or would you rather, if we're going receiver, tackle, receiver, would you rather have Carnell Tate and somebody like, Caleb Lomu, or, another tackle? Where do you kind of stand on that? What do you prioritize? Would you rather have a top end receiver earlier on or a top end tackle?
Top end receiver, because if you can get an elite type of receiver, and like I said, I'm pretty high on the Arizona State guy, and like I said, maybe I'm wrong, but is there not there's a lot of offensive linemen in this draft? It seems like there's a lot there's a lot of offensive linemen. So,
to be fair, I think that there's good value for both positions. They're going to be fairly deep. You can get high in the late first, early second. So in my opinion, I actually think that I would rather go tackle, receiver, and then tackle again at the top of the second, just because of the value there. But it all depends on what the board does, right?
Here's what I like. If we trade down and say we get somebody else's first round in an ideal world, or a top of a set. Well, that's probably not going to happen, but we get somebody's second round pick because they want to move up 4 spots, right? Give me a wide receiver, tackle, whatever, whatever, tackle, guard, whatever that looks like. Because if I can get a wide receiver that can be elite at the top, because you got to score points in this league and be offensive, right? That's a key, right? Give me that offensive wide receiver that can be a game changer possibly, and then just start giving me the big haul guys at the bottom of the first, top of the second. Just start building,
Just like I said earlier, tackles don't become available. You have to, if you want a good tackle, you essentially either have to trade for that player or you have to draft them.
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So for me, I would rather have that person. I want to highlight this comment here. In my opinion, I think you can still get a great receiver in later rounds, or you can even get a good receiver to an above average receiver in free agency or via a trade. We know that Andrew Berry can do that. What he hasn't showcased is that he's really good at drafting receivers. That's not something that he's been able to do yet. I think that this is a pretty decent receiver draft, but in my opinion, I think that you need a tackle. You got to figure that out.
Let me ask you this. That's a good point, because Andrew Berry, that is just, and he'd probably admit it that he's, not hit on those type of things. Do you see the guy from Arizona and Carnell Tate as a can't miss kind of pick? I guess that's a debate. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you see, if you draft Carnell Tate, if he's at number 6, like he's going to, in your opinion, because you're a big Ohio State fan, do you see that as a guy that is going to be elite at the next level? Like, almost Andrew Berry can't get it wrong, I guess is where I'm going with this.
No, I don't. I love Carnell Tate, but I don't think he wasn't the best receiver on his own team at Ohio State. Obviously, that's Jeremiah Smith. He's just an absolute freak. But if Jeremiah wasn't there, obviously he would have been. So, in my opinion, I think I prefer Carnell Tate. He's my number 1 receiver in this year's draft. I think he's going to be awesome. But I don't know that he is like a can't miss prospect. Right. I'm not saying that right now. I'm curious to see how his pro day goes. I think that there's still some data that we can collect on him. But as it stands today, I wouldn't say he's can't miss. I think he's going to be a very good receiver. I just don't know if he's, if he's not. I'm not having him in the same conversation as like Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. Those are can't miss guys. Now,
so in your opinion, in this year's draft, there isn't a wide receiver that's like, you're not going to miss on this guy. That's fair to say, probably.
Yeah, it's not. I don't feel comfortable saying that right now. Now, next year, there's some dudes. You got some absolute.
George Mallory, you can't miss in 2027.
Yeah, 2027 wide receiver, scary, in fact. This
Yeah.
year, I think we've got some really good guys. I like Mekhi Lemon, and I really like Jordan Tyson. The only concerns that I have with Jordan Tyson is some soft tissue stuff. What that looks like playing in Cleveland makes me a little bit nervous. He's had some injuries, but
Well, you're married to a doctor, so you know what that means with soft tissue and stuff. Yeah.
I know all about that. But yeah, these guys, these top three, I'd be happy with any of them. And I know I mentioned on last week's show, I really like Denzel Boston too. I think that there are some guys at great
And
value.
by the way, he had a great combine. That's the truth. He had a really great combine, and he helped himself out in his draft status. So.
Yeah. All right. Also, real quick before we wrap, I want to tell you about our good friend Crystal John Tony, guys. If you are looking to buy or sell real estate, give her a call, 216-215-6663 or johntonysales@gmail.com. Crystal John Tony, she's part of the EXP Realty Group. So please be sure to give her a call. She can point you in the right direction. Best of the business. Be sure to check her out, Crystal John Tony. Dustin, any closing thoughts as we wrap up?
Yes. I wish we would have let off with this, but just thoughts and prayers to Notre Dame Nation and anybody that's a Notre Dame fan or has been a big fan of Lou Holtz. He passed away today at the age of 89. Legend in football, legend in broadcasting. Lou Holtz, he was never bashful with his opinion, and he was a national champion and a legendary coach and a legendary broadcaster. But thoughts and prayers go out to Lou Holtz passing away today. Kind of a living legend in football all the way around and in broadcast.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, Browns fans, go Browns.
Go Browns.